Welcome to our final game project, Bouncino. The title screen presents two options for the player, beginning from the first level or choosing which level to start from. The style choices for both screens are reminiscent of the game's main character and setting.
The first level introduces some floating platforms that the player can jump on to reach the door.
Level 2 of Bouncino introduces the concept of spikes. This concept feeds into the design idea behind our characters being more rounded in shape and our enemies being more rigid. Level 3 introduces a new checkpoint concept so that a player may return to a previous point when making a mistake in a level. This idea is backed by some simple platforming for an ease into the more challenging levels to come.
Level 4 of Bouncino introduces the first NPC, Spikio, who protrudes spikes from its body. This adds another level of difficulty since the player has to time their bounces right to avoid them. Level 5 is a combination of all the additions from the first 4 levels. Level 5 also adds an additional element to the game, which is a trampoline. Bouncino can use this trampoline to propel itself, and it can be kinda difficult to hit the trampoline in the right spot.
So level 6 is designed to be a semi-challenging level, not as hard as the next level, level 7. It's still challenging and fair, so not a unfair level of challenging, but a fair level of challenging. And it's long, not as long as level 7 is, but still long. There's a bunch of enemies to defeat, all the Spikios. There's some checkpoints that are helpful as the checkpoints are there to make it more fair, so that when you get past part of the level, you get a checkpoint, and then you don't have to worry too much about going too far back in the level. So it was good. It came out well, the level design. Alright, for level 7, it's meant to be the hardest level in the game, or at least one of the hardest, but I would say the hardest, as that's how I designed it. I meant it to be pretty challenging, because I think when there's challenge, it makes things more fun, but it's still fair. For the starter level, you're supposed to avoid bouncing on the trampolines, as they will bounce you into the spikes. That was my idea for that. For the lava pit, obviously, just don't go in the lava. And there's a bunch of enemies, and a bunch more spikes. The checkpoints are there, so you're not going too far back and it doesn't become arduous or obnoxious to complete the level if you fail at a certain segment. I think that the level itself came out well. I think it's challenging, but it's a fun level of challenging, just like level 6. Came out pretty well.
In the final level, Bouncino faces off against his greatest enemy, King Spikio. The player must first avoid the lava pits on the first floor and defeat any Spikios in their way before facing off against the final boss. Just like his minions, King Spikio will use his deadly spikes to attack Bouncino. However, he is much more tankier than his lesser counterparts. In order to defeat King Spikio, the player will have to hit the boss 5 times. Upon his defeat, the player can enter the golden door, beating the game and returning to the title screen.